Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Reading in the Dark. Byron here. This is going to be a book haul. So what happened is kind of embarrassing. So this is actually going to be part one of my book hauls for December and January. This is my ebook haul. And if you recall, in my yearly wrap-up and goals video, I talked about wanting to spend less money on books because I spent quite a bit of money on books in 2018. And I wanted to hold myself more accountable. Now, I got sick, and the last couple of weeks, I sort of spent money on books. There were some sales at the bookstore, and believe it or not, the photo that I posted on my Instagram of all of those books and those gigantic stacks is not all there is to the Byron buying books story. In 2019, I also bought quite a few ebooks, so I thought I would split up my book haul videos from the ebook haul to the physical book haul. Now, what I am hoping, because once I realized that I was absolutely out of control, what I'm hoping is that this will be my book haul for 2019. Like, you heard it here first, I will not be buying books. I'm not going to allow myself to buy any books. I've unsubscribed from a lot of the email lists that send me emails when there are sales on things, and from the emails that Goodreads sends out when one of the books that I'm looking forward to is released. The only books that I'm going to allow myself to buy this year will be hotly anticipated books that I've already mentioned, like the Tess Gerritsen book that's supposed to come out in 2019, and books in series that I'm in the middle of trying to get through this year. So, for instance, the books in the Song of Ice and Fire series, by George R.R. Martin. Once I read the first book, I don't have any more, and I'm going to have to buy the rest, and I'm going to allow myself to do that. And then the books in the Harry Potter series, because I eventually will read Harry Potter 1, and then I don't have any other books until book 7, so I will allow myself to buy those kinds of purchases. But I would like to keep my book buying down to no more than like one a month. So that's my goal, and just keep that in mind while I'm going down this list, because February has already been a lot better, believe it or not. I would have already bought a lot of books this month if I had been in the frame of mind that I was in last month. Yeah, I did my book haul video for December, but it was only physical. So here are the ebooks that I bought in December. The first was actually an audiobook that I bought on iTunes. This is The Greatest Gift by Philip Van Doren Stern. This was nominated. This was narrated by Edward Herman. This was really beautiful. I did a review of this in my December wrap-up, and I really enjoyed this one. I got this on iTunes for $4.99. This is the story that It's a Wonderful Life is based on. So now moving on to ebooks. The first ebook that I purchased was The Shuddering by Ania Ahlborn, which I paid $3.99 for. This is the story of basically young rich kids hanging out in their daddy's cabin that he's about to sell, and then there are creatures in the woods and lots of really ridiculous, immature relationship drama and love triangles between them, and I didn't love it, but that is a book that I bought because I was hearing good things about it. The next book that I purchased was Dracula versus Hitler by Patrick Sheane Duncan for $5.58 on my Kindle. Now this is kind of exactly what it sounds like. The blurb says, ravaged by the Nazi Secret Service during World War II, Romanian resistance forces turned to one of their leaders, Professor Van Helsing. To fight these monstrous forces, Van Helsing raises a legendary monster from centuries of slumber, Prince Dracula himself. So this sounds ridiculous, but really fun. Sort of guilty pleasure, I guess. The next book I hauled was a Star Trek Discovery book by Dayton Ward. This is book 2 in the series called Drastic Measures. I kind of started to start this a few days ago, and then I put it aside because I wanted to finish other things instead. But this seems like it's going to be a pretty good read. This tells the background on the character on Star Trek Discovery played by Michelle Yeoh, which is her name is Captain Philippa Georgiou, and I paid $6.99 for this. I actually bought this on Kobo. The next book that I hauled is The Butterfly Garden by Hutchinson. I saw this on the feed for one of my friends on Goodreads, and I kept reading that it was like really, really harsh, even for a thriller, that it was very, very gruesome and terrifying. The blurb says, near an isolated mansion lies a beautiful garden. In this garden grows luscious flowers, shady trees, and a collection of precious butterflies, young women who have been kidnapped and intricately tattooed to resemble their namesakes. So it sounds really twisted and depraved and horrifying, and that's like my thing. So The Butterfly Garden, it's part of a series, of course, and if I enjoy this, I have lots of other books to look forward to when I get around to paying for books again. The next book that I hauled was Bird Box by Josh Malerman. I bought this because the Netflix adaptation was very, very popular at the time. It was on sale for $2.99. This, I don't actually know that much about what this is about. It says something is out there, something terrifying that must not be seen. One glimpse of it and a person is driven to deadly violence. And my understanding is that a woman wants to escape this area with her children, and the only way to do it is to be blindfolded. And I don't know much more about it, and I don't want to know a lot more about it because I've heard it's actually really terrifying. I will say it's kind of funny. When I saw the poster for the Netflix adaptation, I thought, oh, Bird Box. And then I said, oh, how very clever of the marketing department to cover that woman's eyes so that she kind of looks like it might be Sandra Bullock. Ha ha. And then I realized it actually was her. So I guess that was clever because... Was it? I don't know. Is it good? Have you seen it? I haven't seen it because I haven't read it. The next book I hauled is a historical fiction epic called We the Drowned by Carsten Jensen for $2.99. And this is sort of a crazy plot. I don't know how to summarize it, so I'm just going to read this blurb as well. It says, in 1848, a motley crew of Danish sailors set sail from the small island town of Marstal to fight the Germans. Not all of them return, and those who do will never be the same. Among them is the daredevil Lawrence Madsen, who promptly escapes again into the anonymity of the high seas. As soon as he is old enough, his son Albert sets off in search of his missing father on a voyage that will take him to the furthest reaches of the globe and into the clutches of the most nefarious company. This is sort of a globe-trotting epic, seafaring, globe-trotting, crazy epic. It seems like this book takes place in every country in the world. I think it's kind of long, I'm not sure. But it seems like it would be right up my alley, and I love the cover. And I just had to have it when I saw the cover, and I heard what it was about, and it was on sale for $2.99, so We the Drowned. The next book I purchased on my Kindle, finally, after hearing about it for a long time, was Manhattan Beach by Jennifer Egan. I got this on sale for $4.99. And this is a historical fiction novel set in New York City. Anna Kerrigan, nearly 12 years old, accompanies her father to visit Dexter Styles, a man who, she gleans, is crucial to the survival of her family and her father. Years later, her father has disappeared and the country is at war. She works at the Brooklyn Naval Yard. One evening at a nightclub, she meets Dexter Styles again and begins to understand the complexity of her father's life. This has definitely gotten some mixed reviews. I heard about this on Writers on Writing, and the author was being interviewed, and I thought it sounded really fascinating. And she read from the book, and I liked the prose, so I bought the book as soon as I saw that it was on sale. The next book that I hauled is Ohio by Stephen Markley. I bought this on sale for $4.99. I heard about this book first in a video by Russell from Ink and Paper blog on his channel. On one fateful summer night in 2013, 4 former classmates converge on the Rust Belt town where they grew up, each of them with a mission, all of them haunted by regrets, secrets, and lost loves. And I know that one of them has recently come back from the Iraq War, so he's sort of traumatized by that and returning back home to all of the drama and the mysteries and secrets that he left behind. So this just sounds like it's very literary. It's one night, it's an exploration of relationships and secrets and stuff, and I think that it's a thriller or a mystery because there's a death involved somewhere that evening. So this sounds really, really like a juicy thing to sink my teeth into, and I'm looking forward to it. Moving on to January. The first book that I hauled, well, actually the first 3 books that I hauled is the trilogy of novellas by Nnedi Okorafor, based around the character of Binti, and these are entitled, respectively, Binti, Binti, Home, and Binti, the Night Masquerade. Her name is Binti, and she is the first of the Himba people ever to be offered a place at Uzma University, the finest institution of higher learning in the galaxy. But to attempt the offer will mean giving up her place in her family to travel between the stars among strangers who do not share her ways or respect her customs. Knowledge comes at a cost, one that Binti is willing to pay, but her journey will not be easy. The world she seeks to enter has long warred with the Meduse, an alien race that has become the stuff of nightmares. Uzma University has wronged the Meduse, and Binti's stellar travel will bring her within their deadly reach. If Binti hopes to survive the legacy of war, not of her making, she will need both the gifts of her people and the wisdom enshrined within the university itself. But first, she has to make it there alive. So this is a science fiction, fantasy, adventure, hero story starring a woman of color, and it sounds like it could be very interesting, and I've heard really good things. And I've certainly heard good things about Nnedi Okorafor, and all of these were on sale for $1.99, so I spent $6 total for the entire trilogy, and I'm really looking forward to it. I feel like I could tear through these pretty quickly. And aren't these covers amazing? I think they're gorgeous. The next book that I hauled was Funeral Games by Mary Renault, which is a book that I have already read. Funeral Games is the 3rd book in the Alexander the Great trilogy. This is a book that I've already read. Funeral Games is the third book in the Alexander the Great historical fiction trilogy that Mary Renault is probably best known for. It was a beautiful book. The whole trilogy is great, and I talk more in depth about the second and third books in this trilogy in the video that went up most recently, I believe, which was my January wrap-up. This tells the story of everything that happens after Alexander's death, so all of the people kind of fighting for, jockeying for position and everything, and surprisingly included the main narrator character from the second book, which I wasn't expecting, and that was a really great treat. This was a really enjoyable book, and I highly recommend anything Mary Renault writes, and especially this trilogy. I got this book for, not on sale, I bought this book for $9.99, because it was time for the third book, and I had to read it, so I just bought it. The next book that I hauled was Big Woods by May Cobb. I got this for 99 cents on the recommendation of a booktuber, and I forget who it was. I want to say it was Out of the Bex, and I can't remember what her actual name is. But I will link to her channel below. And she and I have similar taste because she really enjoyed The Other Side of Everything by Lauren Doyle Owens, and that was one of my favorite reads of last year, so we kind of bonded on that. And when she recommended Big Woods by May Cobb, I immediately looked it up, and it was on sale for 99 cents, so I bought it. This tells the story of a 14-year-old girl named Leah who starts having dreams about her missing 10-year-old sister Lucy, who is assumed to have been kidnapped from the Big Woods. Leah begins her own investigation, and soon she meets a reclusive widow who may hold the key to finding Lucy, if only she can find the courage to come forward. So this deals with satanic cults, and it's a thriller, and it's got sisters and small town dark secrets, and all of those sound kind of like things that I would enjoy reading about. So, Big Woods. The next book that I hauled was The Rule of One by Ashley and Leslie Sanders. This is actually a duo of twin sisters in real life who wrote a book about a world in which there is a rule of one. Every family is only allowed to have one child due to overpopulation, I believe. And this one family, the mother gives birth to identical twins. And so they decide to have them both masquerade as one child. And they've been sharing the same identity for their entire lives until they turn 18. After which, Ava and Mira's charade is exposed and their worst nightmare begins. So it's giving me, the blurb is giving me like Hunger Games vibes. I believe this is young adult, dystopian, sci-fi speculative goodness, and I'm looking forward to this book. Everybody seemed to be talking about this for a minute there, and then I haven't heard about it since. But this book was on sale for $1.99, and I snatched that up really, really quick. The next book I hauled is Losing Mars by Peter Caudron, and I do not remember where I heard about this book, but it says, disaster strikes in orbit around Mars. A Chinese spacecraft is disabled, stranded near Phobos. Well over 100 million miles from Earth, their only hope for rescue comes from the American base on the edge of the Valles Marineris on the surface of Mars. The Americans need to decide, do they lose Mars or their humanity? So that's a really interesting moral dilemma. This is like hard science fiction, which I don't read that much of, and I should. So I'm super looking forward to this one. I've heard great things, and again, it was on sale for 99 cents. And that is always my downfall. I could buy 1,000 99-cent books and think I was saving money. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. The next book that I purchased was actually a short story, which came out of my reading of all of the stories in A Clockwork Cairo, which was the anthology that I read in January of Egyptian steampunk stories. And one of the stories in that was by P. DeGeely Clark, who has a book coming out called The Haunting of Tramcar 15 that a lot of people have been talking about. I really enjoyed his story in the collection Clockwork Cairo, and so I wanted to read as much of his Egyptian steampunk lore as I could before Tramcar 15 came out. And the next one that I became aware of was this story, which is on Kindle for 99 cents, once again. And this is entitled A Dead Jinn in Cairo. Now, I believe jinn is sort of like a fairy or a genie. Sort of sometimes they're helpful and they're powerful, but they strike difficult bargains and deals with people, and they're very kind of clever, and they can be helpful, but they can also be dangerous. Egypt, 1912. In an alternate Cairo infused with the otherworldly, the Ministry of Alchemy, Enchantments, and Supernatural Entities investigate disturbances between the mortal and the possibly divine. What starts off as an odd suicide case for Special Investigator Fatma El-Sharawi leads her through the city's underbelly as she encounters rampaging ghouls, saucy assassins, clockwork angels, and a plot that could unravel time itself. So I don't necessarily get a lot from this blurb. It's kind of generic, but it's a case that has to be taken care of by this person who does supernatural cases in Egypt, and I really enjoyed the writing of, I think it was the The Angel of, and then the name of a city that I can't remember. That was the name of the story from A Clockwork Cairo. I really enjoyed that story, and so I knew I wanted to read more, and so I snatched this one up really quick for 99 cents, and I'm looking forward to that. The next book that I bought was The Haunting of Tramcar 15 by P. Tajili Clark. I bought this for $3.99, and again, everybody's been talking about this, so I guess it's clearly been released because I bought it, and I didn't even remember that I bought it. I am terrible. Okay. Senior Agent Hamed Al-Nasser shows his new partner, Agent Ansi, the ropes of investigation when they are called to subdue a dangerous, possessed tram car. What starts off as a simple matter of exorcism, however, becomes more complicated as the origins of the demon inside are revealed. So, I definitely am looking forward to this. So many people have been talking about it, and I didn't put two and two together until I was almost done with reading the anthology, Clockwork Cairo, that this was the same author, so I'm super looking forward to that. And I bought this, and I believe this is a novella, and I bought this for $3.99. I'm really excited to read it. The next book that I hauled was actually a free download from the Kindle store, and this was an ebook of Some of the Best from Tor.com 2016 edition. This is an anthology of short stories that were submitted to the Tor.com website, and it's edited by Ellen Datlow and several other people. If you don't know about Tor.com, it's basically a website on the internet, which is where websites generally are, which is all about science fiction and fantasy. So there's all kinds of short fiction on Tor.com. A lot of really great science fiction and fantasy authors are discovered there. I think there's a lot of really amazing authors that have been published there first. But anyway, this is from Tor.com. This is just a collection of stories featuring a whole bunch of authors that names I recognized and I wanted to read, and it was free. The next book that I hauled is a classic called The Quiet American by Graham Greene, and I got this for $1.99. And the blurb says, Alden Pyle is the brash young idealist sent out by Washington on a mysterious mission to Saigon, where the French army struggles against the Vietnamese guerrillas. As young Pyle's well-intentioned policies blunder into bloodshed, Thomas Fowler, a seasoned and cynical British reporter, finds it impossible to stand safely aside as an observer. But Fowler's motives for intervening are suspect both to the police and himself, for Pyle has stolen Fowler's beautiful Vietnamese mistress. This is a classic. It's about a sort of blundering, innocent, ignorant person at large. Apparently it was very controversial when it was first published in 1956, and it has a lot to say about, I think, sort of American imperialism and our tendency to be very myopic in our political views and to only be able to sort of understand and care about what's going on in our own country and to spread our wings into other lands and to sort of impose our own values on other cultures and to not really know what we're doing when we get there. So that's a lot, but I'm pretty sure that is what I have gleaned from everything I read about this book, not having actually read it. That sounds up my alley, although maybe possibly a little stressful. Again, I got this on sale for $1.99, and I'm looking forward to it one day. So that's it. Those are my ebook purchases in the months of December and January, and hopefully that will be the end of it. I will not be purchasing any ebooks after that. I don't think I've missed any. I don't think there's any that came after that. I have a lot to read. I've got a lot of really good reading going on, and I think I'm good. So I'm going to try and focus on staying within my budget for other things in life and therefore not spending so much money on books. And that's not going to be a hardship because I have so many things to read already. But we haven't gotten to the physical books yet. And as you can see, this video is long enough already. So I decided that I would put the physical books in a separate video. And that video is one that I'm kind of putting off because it's going to take forever to edit because I was filming for a really long time because there were so many books. So this is going up first, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments about the books that I hauled or have any suggestions for me, I don't want to pay for any books, but let me know if you have any suggestions because I always want to know anyway. And if you enjoyed this video, thank you for being here so much for this bookish conversation. And if you like this video, you can certainly hit the like button or subscribe to my channel. And until next time, I will be here in the dark reading. Bye, guys.